We ain't gonna ever back down from nobody. I don't care who it is. This is a brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us goes down, we have another, and another, and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody, light me up.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire podcast.
This is Trevor Harris.
Hey, how you doing? This is number 58, Travis Bond.
This is Christoph Malomba Chimanga.
Hey there, this is your co-host, Kenny Stafford.
Hey, this is Ryan King.
Calvin McCarty.
And you are listening to...
You're listening to the Eskimos Empire.
Listening to the Eskimo Empire podcast.
The Eskimo Empire podcast. Hope you guys enjoy listening.
Welcome back to the Turf District for the Eskimo Empire podcast, and we are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. We are happy to bring you this Spepisode as we try to sneak it in right before the Christmas time season. I'm Andrew, and I'm joined from Turf District West, superfan Mike. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, not bad. It's this is a little different being in TDW, but yeah.
TD. So am I in the TDOG?
OG I was say OGTD.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. That's
sure.
okay. I got to make sure I don't want to mess it up because Mark Majot will call me on it and say, "What are you doing?"
Right.
It's OG
TD Prime.
Oh, that makes it sound like I'm a transformer. I love it.
Right? Isn't it nice?
That's fantastic. I mean, now who knew we would need another show to talk Esks news? But I'm glad that we are able to do this.
Oh, no question. I mean, I think we figured something was going to happen. We just weren't sure when.
Who.
Yeah, I mean, we were starting to think we're running out of options here. And then they said, hey, hold my beer.
Hey, I got an option for you. Wow.
Yeah, they do.
All right, we'll talk about that in just a second. Before we get to that, how's the Christmas prep going? I know that seems like, I said this to Natey, that it's kind of like a odd question for a guy to ask another guy because it's not Christmas Eve yet, but still, I mean, how is it going?
I was going to say, I still got like 8 more days left to start shopping, so this is not bad.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking.
No, it's been going really well. It's going to be the first Christmas in the new house, so that's kind of exciting.
Very.
But yeah, I can't believe it's only 10 days away.
I know, isn't that nuts? Like, it's... Oh, my God. And I have, like, every night booked. And it's like, right. Oh, my goodness. So it's not even like it's a nice, easy 10 days. It's like it's craziness right up to it, right? So, but that's all
And
fun.
then it'll just be like... And then I think we're headed down to visit my dad's family.
Nice.
My dad and my brother and his family, sorry. So, yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah, we could just exclude him. Whatever. It's just your dad.
No, I said my dad and my brother and his family. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, there's dad, brothers, and there's family. Anyway.
Excellent. There's a lot of family.
There's a lot of family. So that's going to be right after Christmas. And then drive back and then go right into work. So
yeah. Isn't that great when you get to come right back into work? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can sense your excitement already.
I get to relax.
You watching a bunch of old games to get by. I see you were watching some old stuff there. Yeah,
I was watching some stuff. I think that was 1999. Seeing... it was not the best era of Eskimo football.
You don't say.
But I thought I'd watch it because, ironically, that was the last time the Eskimos hired a coach that wasn't a first-time head coach.
That's true.
20 years ago, Don Matthews. And what is today, the 15th? Actually, 50 years ago today, we hired another guy as a first-time head coach in Ray Yock.
Oh, that was a good one. That was
December 15th, 1969.
Ooh, that's a up top my brother year.
Up top my brother, exactly.
I knew you'd appreciate that.
Yes.
All right, well, we'll get to our news in just a second, but at first I want to say that this episode is brought to you by Taproot Edmonton, your source for curiosity-driven coverage of our city cultivated right by the community. Now, Taproot is working with Bottom Line Productions to produce a new podcast called Speaking Artistically, and it's about the arts in Edmonton. It dives into the headlines and happenings in the arts with none other than our good friend and former co-host Josh Semchuk and Kate and Katie. Yeah, exactly. So I was I was so excited. He's back in podcasting world. So I wanted to make sure that we promoted that. Now they're all three very close observers of local theater, dance, and other artistic endeavors. So you can subscribe and listen to the podcast at speakingartistically.taprootedmonton.ca. And I'm really excited that he's back and doing some stuff. So make sure you catch up with that show.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to that one. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it was. I bugged him about it the other day. I texted him. I'm like, so I hear you're back in the podcast world? He's like, yes. I'm like, well, I'll give you a plug next time. So there we go.
Fantastic.
It's awesome. All right, so our big news and why we are here to chat this week is that the Esks did hire a new head coach in one Scott Milanovich. I think this is a coup for Brock, trying to basically pulling him out of the NFL ranks.
Yeah, to me, this is a home run. You really, I think the best way to look at it is I put it on Twitter, is if you look at the 2012 Grey Cup and the coaching staff, it's outstanding. I mean, you had Milanovich at head coach and OC.
Yeah.
The DC was Chris Jones. The special teams coordinator was Mike O'Shea. The offensive line coach, Steve McAdoo. The quarterback, running back, wide receiver coach was Jason Moss. And the DB coach was Orlando Steinauer. I mean, this is like a who's who of coaches now in the CFL, all coming under the Scott Milanovich tree, which is, just going to be great things for us.
Well, not only does that give me confidence in the fact that he's a good head coach, but he's going to bring talented coaches with him. I think he has that ability to have guys that want to work with him. And I think we're pretty much set, and it looks like this is the case, that Coach Lawley is still going to be here as defensive coordinator. That combination, I think you were the one that texted me and said the wealth of knowledge now on both offense and defensive side of the balls is massive.
Yeah, I mean, Milanovich did work in NFL Europe before he came to the CFL. I think he was here in, 2007 is when he first started with Montreal.
I think so, yeah.
Or might have even been a little before that with Calgary. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, I mean, he was here with a couple of great quarterbacks in Anthony Calvillo and then Ricky Ray afterwards in Toronto. So he certainly knows how to get great stuff out of them. And in 2012, he had Zach Galeros and Trevor Harris.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think actually that's a huge plus in this whole thing, is that Trevor Harris is super excited to have Milanovich here and working with him again. And I think that really was going to be kind of a key cog, that you wanted to make sure, not that I think that Trevor isn't a team guy and just going to step up and go with the flow, but to have somebody that he knows the system a little bit already. Obviously it'll be changed a little, but to have that ability to know the guy and know what the expectation is, and then to be able to help to set that tone for the rest of the team, that's something that you really want when you're getting your head coach.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is Jason Moss is running a variation of Milanovich's offense. As you see with guys also under that Milanovich tree, like Stephen McAdoo, running a very similar style of offense. Now,
just the boring style, yes, but it's...
but the phrasing is going to be different.
Yes.
And what plays you choose to call is what's going to really differentiate it. But the concepts are all the same.
Right. Now, I think we did. Well, I didn't specifically say it, but he's coming in as head coach and as OC. So he is going to actually run both of those things. So those offenses that you said, like we said, you had so much success with Anthony Calvillo and Ricky Ray. We're now going to see that being run by Trevor Harris, which I think is very exciting. And I think there's going to be guys that are going to want to play in that system.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a lot of people were starting to wonder why he's running OC and HC, and I think part of it might be because of that coach's salary cap, because we are on the hook for part of Jason Moss's salary. So let's say we were giving him, to throw out a number. Actually, I don't want to throw out a number because someone was going to take it and run with it. But whatever we would have paid him as head coach, minus what he is getting paid as offensive coordinator, we have to pay that, and it will count against the cap.
Right.
So as a result, I don't know if we have really the funds to hire a separate offensive coordinator for the 2020 season. But in 2021, he'll have the option at that point, assuming that he's not going to get a bump in pay, to get an offensive coordinator separate from Milanovich as well. So who knows? Maybe we'll see maybe some of the people we looked at earlier. Maybe one of them. That's
true. That's true. They may end up in there as the OC position. Interesting.
It could be like an Elizondo. You never know.
Ooh, right. Yeah. Well, you never.
That'd be interesting.
Never know. That would be an interesting one for sure. Yeah, because didn't Elizondo? Well, he was kind of part of that whole tree as well, right? Yeah. So
absolutely.
So there's a link there as well. So that's interesting. But I just got to say, I mean, Brock held us on the edge of our seats. We thought, okay, well, it's going to be Elizondo. No, that falls down. It's going to be LaPolice. Oh, no, that falls down. And then the story comes out.
Even Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, and then the story comes out with it possibly going to be Milanovich, and a lot of us here, I know I was at the locker room sale when the initial story came out, and both Dave Campbell and I looked at each other like, that's never going to happen. That's like, there's no way he's turning down NFL money to be, come on. And well, Brock showed me, and much like he did in free agency last year, he knocked it out of the park with something we didn't expect.
Yep, absolutely. So I think now that we have a head coach in position, whether he's here or not, because he still has to finish off the season in the United States, but Jacksonville, man, you've got to think that at least on the offensive side of the ball, they're all going to be pretty stoked to sign here now.
Absolutely. And I know that for a fact because I just talked to a guy who told me he was pretty excited about it. So why don't we put that in? This is a good spot right here. We'll break down more of this in a second. First, let's get an opinion from another friend of the pod, a big part of our receiving corps and a good friend of ours. Welcome back, Natey Adjei, to the Turf District. How's it going, man?
I appreciate that, and what a wonderful introduction. I wish I could hire you to introduce me to a lot of things, but I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're awesome. We're awesome. I'm happy to be your PR guy. That's I'm right on top of that. So tell us a little bit what's been going on since the season ended, and are you just taking a break, or are you getting back into things, or where are you at?
Yeah, since the season ended, kind of was finalized everything in Edmonton with the exit meetings and talking to coaches and seeing guys for kind of the last time in the off season. Then headed back to Toronto, where we as a family we're going to be spending the off season this year in Edmonton. So we just started packing and starting to move our stuff, and we'll be there actually next week in Edmonton. So it's just been kind of a busy time, getting ready to head to Edmonton for the off season. And also we have seen some family overseas during the off season in a couple months, so just getting ready for that and renewing passports and all the non-football stuff that you got to do once you're done playing.
All the time, all the ones where you might actually have a few minutes of time to do now. That's basically what it is.
Exactly. I have no excuses not to do anything now. So just basically family stuff since the season's ended, and that's about it. Yeah, and just taking a break. Kind of taking a break just to recharge, and because for the whole season there, I other than the bye weeks, I was in there every week, and just taking the mental break to kind of start missing it. And I know in a couple of weeks I start missing lifting and football and stuff like that. So yeah, just taking a break to kind of the new year to start working out again. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So now, when I didn't know you were actually moving here this off season. That's very exciting because when you're nearby, that means we get to talk to you more. That's great. But
absolutely, man.
Oh, extra points for the absolutely too. So what made you decide to move back over here? I mean, we're very excited about it, but what made that move this year?
It was just I thought it was right. I love Edmonton, and as a family, we haven't fully experienced all that Edmonton has to offer. And the wife is on mat leave, until next February. So we just thought, there's no time better than now. We've all lived in Toronto our whole lives, so we just thought, why not, move to Edmonton, kind of do some of the team stuff in the off season that I never get to do because I'm in Toronto. Just experience something new and give our girls a different experience and give ourselves a different experience because we never, as a family, got a chance to do stuff like go to Banff or stuff like that, Jasper, stuff like that. So just get a new experience and get a chance to be around the team a little bit more, and just the simple fact that I love Edmonton and kind of fell in love with the city, so just want to be there as long as possible.
That's awesome, and I mean that makes me really happy to hear. I love to hear when the guys move into the city because it's just that it's a different feel when you're here kind of all the time, and of course, like you said, connecting with the guys, and tell us what it was like on the team this year because it really seemed like there was a real family feel with all the guys.
Yeah, that's. Since we started training camp, I think our experience from the 2018 season where it felt like there was a lot of individuality and we kind of got away from, team first, kind of family first atmosphere in that season. And going into training camp, Coach Moss was huge on, togetherness and doing stuff as a team, just having that team first mindset and, being a family at all times. So that was something that he preached and something that, he put into motion because we were doing a lot of team activities on a weekly basis. It did work. Guys were a lot tighter. Guys were, hanging out outside their position groups, talking to guys, having to interact with guys through the activities and games that they would never have interacted with before. And, a lot of new friendships were built out of it, and I think it showed that we were a tighter team this year.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely. So now you've been around here for a while. Did you find this year you were taking on a little more of a leadership and mentorship role with guys like Tavon Smith, who have just come into the league, and some of the newer receivers that were around?
Absolutely. It was kind of a first for me because, like you said, going into the training camp this year, you looked around, and at the time it was just me and Kenny that had kind of been around for a while, and then guys are naturally starting to ask questions. Okay, how does Moss like this? How does this offense run? Or just because we had been there and we know kind of how it works, how he works, how the team works, and how the offense works. So naturally, that leadership role came about, and and I took it upon myself to make sure I was there for anyone that needed me, especially Tavon, because I'd known him, since he was 15.
Oh, nice.
And so I obviously I was looking out, and we're from the same area, so definitely looking out for him, and that's why I feel I was extremely proud of him this year because. He obviously listened and he applied a lot of the things that we try to help him with, and you saw he had a great year. So, that's one of the things I'm extremely proud about this year. And, there's a lot of other guys, behind the scenes that, you kind of, now that you're in this position, you talk to and they listen just a little bit more. So it was kind of cool to be on the other side because my whole career I was always the guy asking, the Calvin McCarty's, questions or, things of that, or the Corey Watson questions, and this year the role kind of switched, and it was cool being on the other side of it.
Well, and out of it, you ended up having one of your best years in the CFL, which was so exciting to watch. And I mean, always like to see those guys that have been around and now they're getting that success. And I still remember the play from BC, right? You come out to the side and all this space, and you're going to take off, and it was awesome to watch, man.
Yeah, it was super fun. Just being in the moment and experiencing that, it was kind of my way of repaying the trust that Coach Moss had in me, and it was just an exciting time for sure, and especially this year, the whole year as a whole, just getting a chance to be a full-time receiver, and that's something I've always wanted to do, and try to prove that I could do it in this league, because I've always, in the past, I've always been watching and be like, oh, I can do that, or watching other guys, I know I can do that, and then finally getting a chance to put it on film and do it on week in, week out basis was extremely fun and just very rewarding. And now it's time to do it again and again and again.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about what's coming now next year. Obviously, the big news coming this week with the hiring of Scott Milanovich. Now, you did play for him before your first couple of seasons, right?
Correct. Yeah, I played for him the 2014 and 2015 seasons. Yep.
All right, so you have a little bit of familiarity as you go into this. What do you think of the hire, and what do you think of working under Scott again?
I think it's a great hire. I thought, out of everything that all the candidates that they were leaking at first, I thought he was definitely by far the best one. No shot to anyone else. Just knowing him, just obviously I'm biased because I know him, and I know he's a phenomenal coach. Like one of the best coaches I've ever played for. Super smart offensively. Knows how to get the most out of his players. He's extremely demanding, tough. But if everyone buys in, I think we have a championship caliber team, and he'll definitely get it out of us. I'm excited to play for him again. It's funny because my first year, I was there. Coach Moss was our receiver coach, and I just remember that whole year Coach Moss was building his playbook out of a lot of things that Coach Milanovich was teaching us, and it worked out for Coach Moss. He was able to be one of the best offensive coordinators and head coaches in the league, and I'm excited to get to work with Scott again, because I know the offense is going to be extremely similar to what we ran in the past, and I know he's just going to get the most out of us. And they talk about guys like La Police being geniuses. I put Scott up there, of all time coaches when it comes to offensively, scheming stuff up. His brain is crazy. So I'm excited. I told a lot of the guys that what he's kind of about, and a lot of guys are excited. I know Trevor was the first person I called, and we FaceTime for a while, and everybody's just excited to get to play for Scott again, because we all know what he's about and what he's going to get out of us. So me personally, I hate to see Coach Moss go. I have a good relationship with him, but with Coach Moss, it's just the business side of it. Got in there, but with Coach Milanovich coming in, it's definitely something that we all welcome, and we're excited to get going.
That's awesome. Yeah, I heard a little bit of Trevor's one of Trevor's other interviews, and you could just tell he was really excited because he had that familiarity, and I think that helps, right? If at least you have the familiarity of a guy coming in, it's not like you're having to reprove everything. It's just you have that. Okay, I know what this guy wants, and I know kind of where I have to be to make that happen.
Exactly, and kind of with our offense in the past, we knew exactly what everything, the terminology, the formations, what kind of the play calling would be. With Coach Milanovich, we're going to be able to, step on the gas like day one, because a lot of guys are going to remember what Coach Moss was teaching. So it's not going to be a situation where we have everybody just learning, and we're in week 7 and week 8, and they're like, okay, guys, they're just getting it now. It's going to be a situation where training camp, guys are going to be it's going to look normal, it's going to look fast, it's going to look like, okay, we get it now. So everyone's super excited because of the familiarity. Especially with the play calling, because that's the toughest thing. You go to the camp and you're trying to learn a new playbook. It's going by so fast. It takes time. It's almost like learning a new language. So if I got a new coach and he's teaching me Swedish, now I can just our old coach is teaching Swedish, our new coach is teaching Swedish. We're going to be good. So everyone's excited.
There's a little part of me now that just wants one of the plays to be like a word in Swedish, just for that reason. Because
you know what? coaches do that. I remember in the past we had a Swedish player, and the play had something to do with like what his job was.
Oh, really?
We use the Swedish. Yeah, we do use a Swedish word. So like that happens a lot. Like coaches will find any way to get guys to remember play calls. So it's funny that you said that.
So next year we're going to have a Mexican play call so that Diego knows when it's his turn.
Yeah, if Diego's in there, and it's going to him or something, we'll definitely call it something. Or if it's like a package that he's in there, we might call it something associated with Mexico. It's like the cha-cha or something. Cha-cha package, something.
Well, we better not give away any secrets. I mean, we know everybody listens to the show. Right. We don't want to give it all away, but we'll talk about that in training camp when it's just you and me. That's awesome. So as you kind of get through the off season here, when do you expect that you'll start getting that, like the initial stuff for that playbook and things, so that you're prepping for training camp?
Yeah, that's a good question. Good question. I know. I think Coach Milanovich is going to be introduced somewhere in January. So I'll be in town, and I think whenever he has his press conference, I'll definitely try to be there and link up with him again, and just start that process of building a relationship back up again, because he's been gone for 3-4 years. And then, start to see what he's all about. And, it'll start pretty early, and, he has to kind of build his CFL plan again, like pick up his old playbooks and see what he likes, because he's, been dealing with the NFL stuff. So once he gets he has to get his staff together as, offensive guys, and, start, putting together what he wants to put in. I think throughout the off season, I don't know if it's breaking any rules, but he'll definitely, do stuff with Trevor, and then once Trevor has it all, then it'll trickle down to the receivers. So I think it'll happen, sometime after January, getting into the spring. But like I said, it's going to be a quick transition, because it's something that we're all pretty familiar with, and then we'll go from there. But it shouldn't be too much of a we got to get started now, because just to help offense and guys we want to hit the ground rolling, so we got to get started now. No, we all kind of know what's going on, and it'll just be implementing more his culture and how he likes to do things, because he's a lot different than Coach Moss. So that would be more of what needs to get into the guys. So. Like I said, coming up in the new year, and whenever I see him, I think I'll have a ton of questions for him, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome. And in the meantime, because you'll have some extra time, you'll just work on media and be doing all of the hits with Morley and us, right? Like, that's the plan?
Yeah, exactly. That's another perk of coming to Edmonton. That's getting a chance to see you guys on a semi-regular basis, and just stay in the loop.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're getting close here. Of course, we've got Christmas in a couple of weeks. I guess you'll be out here by then if you're coming out next week. Yeah. Are your girls all prepped? Are they all fired up and excited?
Yeah, they're fired up. We actually went to go see Santa yesterday. They have a thing at the mall here in Toronto where Santa reads them the story, and they sit on his lap and do the whole nine, take pictures and all that. So they're pretty excited. They know the season's coming up. We keep asking them our oldest one, she can talk and communicate, and keeps telling us what she wants. And every time we walk by Christmas trees and she sees presents under, she wants to stop and open the presents, and we got to explain to her that it's not yours. You got to wait till Christmas, and then every day she's like, "Is it Christmas yet?" And they're like, "No, let's look on the calendar and count the days." But she doesn't care. The next day she'll ask the same question. So yeah, they're good. They're fired up.
As they should be. Are they like my children, where the what they ask for changes every 3 minutes, and then you have to try and figure out what is the actual thing that they want? Yeah.
Exactly. It changes from person to person, because my dad was over today. He was asking what they wanted, and it was a different answer than what she told my mom yesterday. So it's just funny. Everyone's just trying to figure out what they actually want. So, I mean, I guess if they keep telling everyone exactly what they want, everyone's just going to get them a different gift, and they're going to be all stocked up.
That's right. That's good. Now, I know this is maybe a faux pas question to ask from guy to guy, but are you almost done your Christmas shopping, or?
You know, it's funny. So my wife's birthday is actually today. So, hey,
wow.
Yeah. So, and it's so close to Christmas that when I'm doing shopping for her, I just, I just get her birthday present, and I just get the Christmas present at the same time. So, like, I know I'm done. So I'm always done like 10 days ahead of Christmas. So that's the added benefit of having her birthday so early. So yeah, I am done, but it's only because her birthday is today. If it wasn't, I would be in there last minute doing everything, just like everyone else.
Well, you're leading all of us men into trying to remember to do it early. I do appreciate that, and make sure you wish Melody a happy birthday from all of us. And thanks again, man, for coming on and chatting with us and kind of catching us up a little bit. I'm glad you're excited about Coach Milanovich, and we're excited to get you here so that we can chat more.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it for sure. I'm definitely going to take you up on that. And if I don't see you, a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year to you and the gang.
Thanks, you too, buddy, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, take care.
Thanks again to Natey for joining us. Now, here's hoping, as he says, there are a lot of those free agents maybe start re-signing back with the team now that we have a coach in place.
Yeah, you've got to think so. I mean, who wouldn't be excited to someone that has these NFL connections as well? I mean, you can't understate that for a lot of these players who, especially the younger guys who are maybe looking at breaking into that NHL.
Yeah. NHL? NFL maybe?
Yeah. No, the hockey.
Okay. They're going straight from the turf to the ice.
As they should.
Perfect.
If you can't be in the CFL, you might as well go into hockey.
That's really what it should be. I mean, the Oilers are still looking for a quality defenseman. I'm pretty sure somebody could do that. I mean, put Mondo on skates. Nobody's getting by him.
Put Mondo in goal.
There we go.
That'd be awesome.
This is a very good off-season game for us, just to try and put all of the Eskimos into what position they should play on ice.
Just the biggest guys, put them in goal. I mean, who's going to score on that?
The Edmonton Escoilers. We should we gotta make this is an off-season fun game. I think
there we go. We'll make this happen.
Over and above your other wonderful game that we will announce in January. Again,
yes, we will.
That's my other fun teaser. Did you like that?
I did.
Okay, good.
Call it like a trailer.
That's right.
Even if we don't watch trailers ourselves, someone must.
Yeah, no Star Wars trailers at least. That's bad. You don't watch.
I wouldn't know. I've never seen one.
That's right. Yep. Real movie.
Well, not true. I have seen them just after the movie.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you already have your tickets? Are you going?
I have not. I was planning on going, I think, on the 21st, and then that sort of fell through. So,
ooh,
I have to go after.
All right. I'm going to try and find a time. It might have to be when we're in Grand Prairie.
Right.
We'll have to see how
Makes
it goes.
sense.
All right. Well, I'm glad the coach is in place. I think that the nice thing is in late January, we should be able to hopefully catch up with him when he gets into town. And we should be hearing, I think, before too terribly long, who the rest of that coaching staff is going to be. And I'm very excited to see some of the names that might be coming in.
Yeah, I mean, with keeping Coach Lawley, I'm wondering if he has good enough relationships with some of the positional coaches on defense that maybe we'll be able to keep coaches like Demetrius Maxey.
I sure hope so.
Defensive line coach, Baron Miles, exactly. Just because, again, he's got that relationship already. I mean, another guy I'd love to keep is Mike Gibson. I think he's done amazing work with that offensive line.
Yeah.
Turning it into one of the best, certainly when it comes to protection for Trevor Harris and everyone behind center. As well as he opened some pretty solid holes, I think.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Who was the guy that actually went to Toronto to work with Milanovich that was with us on the offensive line for that?
Oh, that was Jonathan Heimbaugh.
Yeah, like I'm not saying anything bad about Gibson. I think he's done, like you said, an amazing job. But to open the door for possibly bringing Heimbaugh back too wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think he's with Trestman's group in the XFL for this year.
Oh, okay.
So unfortunately, I don't think he'd be available, just like with Jamie Elizondo not being available. So assuming the XFL finishes the season, which would, they did last year, 2001.
That's right. I think they'll finish a couple, and then we'll see. I'm not going to say that it's going to...
they'll have a second season?
I think they will. I think they're backed properly this time to do that.
Well, maybe. But let's face it, football ain't cheap.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the locker room sale. You're right. It's not cheap.
No, it's not. But pretty. Very pretty.
Oh, very pretty. Yes, absolutely. Yes, I'm looking forward to new displays in the Turf District before long.
Yes, here too.
Oh, excellent. How exciting. Yes.
Yes.
All right, well, let's take a really quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we'll do some kind of around the CFL talk now that we're talking before Christmas.
This is AJ Gass, and you're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
You can join the Empire online.
Find us at eskempire.ca.
Check out all the new blogs and then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
For more history, follow @EsksHistory on Twitter.
And even more of my pics on Esk Empire Photo.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to help the pod grow. Thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show.
Welcome back. This week's pod is also brought to you by ATB Branch for Arts and Culture. Are you a creative professional? Check out ATB's Branch for Arts and Culture, a bank, music venue, and creative space all in one. So whether you're a budding musician wanting advice on how to save for a new instrument or an artist looking for a bank that understands how your business works, ATB can help. Visit atb.com/thebranch to find out how ATB's Branch for Arts and Culture can support your career in the arts. And I actually wanted to put this one in here because we had a Christmas get-together with the Alberta Podcast Network, and it was actually held at the Bank for Arts and Culture.
Oh, that's very cool.
And it was such a cool little space. They have a little performing space. They have a bunch of the
Did you perform?
artists. I did not. No.
No? Okay.
No, there was an ask, but I said not tonight. No, I'm kidding.
Not tonight. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I performed.
Of course I have. You know me too well. That's right.
That's right.
But no, they have some art up on the walls from different people who are part of the bank, and then they can actually sell their wares there, and then they have a little bit of a different setup for banking. So I thought it was kind of a neat little space, and met some of the ladies there, and it was really, really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool. All right, let's get back to some CFL, shall we? Let's talk some, just because I want Andrea to drink, the coaches carousel is almost complete. Obviously, we've still got some coordinator positions and some staffs to be filled out. But as far as head coaching is concerned, we have a few things in place. I think the last time we talked about Campbell going to BC, which I think, great ad for BC. I think that's some good stability there and some relationship between Ed and a little bit of head coaching history, which I think was important in BC.
Yeah, I think a lot of people talked about Rick Campbell, the obvious choice to come here, but honestly, with the background he has, do you really want to have that baggage coming here?
Well, the cloud, right?
Your father is like a legend here. I mean, we talk about the Holy Trinity of Edmonton being the Campbell, the Moon, and the Holy Parker.
That's right.
And really, 1/3 of that Holy Trinity is Hugh Campbell. So that's a lot to live up to. Plus, of course, he had his time here. He got blamed fairly or unfairly for, in 2006, the Milt Miracle disaster.
Yeah.
Whether or not... Now, I know that when we talked to former players from that era, especially on defense, Singor Mobley loved playing under Campbell.
Absolutely,
so,
yes.
Obviously, whether the fans liked it or not, the players certainly did. But, for BC, I think that was a great pickup. I know it was expected that Jason Moss would go there as offensive coordinator, but since they're on the hook as well for Devon Claybrook's full salary right now, as he's not turned up anywhere, I don't know if they could have afforded him
That's very true. That's very true. And of course, we now know that Moss did land on his feet in Saskatchewan as the OC. I think that's a massive upgrade for Saskatchewan, putting that type of an offensive mind in with Cody Fajardo, who is just kind of coming into his own as a quarterback. I think that's a great move.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, as we mentioned earlier, they both do come off the Milanovich tree. So I think the offense isn't going to be that different. The wording and phrasing will be a little different, and the calls that he plays obviously will be different as well. So, yeah. And I think it's just going to be good for Jason. He got a lot of, again, fairly or unfairly, a lot of slack from TSN.
Absolutely.
Every time, there was anything, they had that camera in his face. That doesn't really happen as much with offensive coordinators. It's mostly head coaches. So maybe he can just focus solely on his offense and everything else. And, I think he's going to be a better head coach down the road because of it.
I look forward to him trying to convince Craig Dickinson to kick a field goal on first down.
Oh, absolutely. And yes. Either way, just say, listen, just hit the Gatorade jug. It feels good.
We are allowed to make those jokes now, right? That's how this works?
Yeah, well, I mean, we made him when he was our head coach, so we're allowed to make him when he's not.
So I guess we're still... Well, okay, yeah, that's good. I'm glad we're fair.
Once an Eskimo, always an Eskimo. Once a Gatorade puncher, always a Gatorade puncher.
That's what TSN would have us believe, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Killam is staying in Calgary as the special teams guy. I think that's good for some consistency for them. As
he was under contract still, so...
Yeah. But I think he did... from everything that I heard, he interviewed very well, and he's very likely to be that next guy that's waiting to take on that role, right? If a head coaching job opens up.
Sure, and I think we've seen from the last Grey Cup, certainly the last West Final, it's shown that special team coordinators can do very well as head coaches when you've got O'Shea and Craig Dickinson both doing well as a head coach. Someone pointed out that they're the only ones that have to deal with almost everyone on the team.
That's true.
Because so many of these guys do play special teams, and you've got stars and you've got your average, entry-level guys and everyone in between.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe why they have such success as head coaches.
Well, and they have to rotate guys all the time, because if somebody gets injured, it's the guy coming out of their team that ends up moving up, and then they have to put a new guy in, right? So, yeah, lots of flexibility, let's put it that way. So easy when you're going to head coach, you have to have that flexibility.
Yeah, and if you every time you watch on TSN and you see the head coach, usually the guy beside him is the special team coordinator.
True, yeah, very true. Yeah. All right, and now going over to Winnipeg. So O'Shea and Walters re-up in Winnipeg, so they have some stability there, and I think that, very, very good for Winnipeg to have that stability with O'Shea and the faith and trust that he has in the guys there.
Yeah, I think he's done exceptionally well, especially considering you've mentioned it a few times that it looked like he could have been fired.
Absolutely.
3 or 4 or 5 games into a season, and all of a sudden a year and a half later, he's a Grey Cup champion.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's good. He gets to be there and enjoy that. Enjoy defending a title.
Sure.
Right? Like that's a good thing too.
When they present the rings and everything else, it'll be great.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how that plays out with them having to now go to a different OC, which sounds a little bit more and more like it will be Buck Pierce, who is underneath La Police. Be curious to see how that plays out for them as a whole.
Yeah, I think, we've got a few different OCs in the league, obviously, including in Edmonton. I think they'll adapt well. It's somebody who's already in the system, so he can just tweak it the way he likes it, and keep some things that are going to be consistent that they had from the 2019 season.
Yeah, very true. Very true. We're going to move over to Hamilton, where they did actually secure Tommy Condell and Jeff Reinbold decide to not take other opportunities and stay in Hamilton. I think Hamilton now ends up with the most consistent coaching staff across the CFL. That's going to help a team that was already 15-3. Yeah,
absolutely. And, just one game away from it all. It was not necessarily the greatest Grey Cup for them.
You don't say.
But they have a lot to look forward to in 2020.
Yeah, I agree. The interesting thing there is how many of those free agents end up and who ends up where in Hamilton, because they have a lot of their... I mean, it's very early, I understand, but it's very early to say anything, but they have a ton of free agents, especially on the defensive side
all
of the ball.
teams do.
Yeah.
So many players only signed 1-year deals because the uncertainty of the CBA, and they thought that this was their opportunity so they could go to the NFL, and I'm sure we might be talking a little bit about the NFL window. And
yeah, let's just talk about it now, and then we can come back to the coaches. What do you think of all that? Because here's the deal is made. Now we're bringing the NFL window back, and then the NFL says, "Oh, sorry, we're not going to honor that." That's
tough.
Very tough. Brutal, really.
Yeah, that's really got to be a dagger to the heart for a lot of these players who thought, well, this is great. We fought for this. We got it. Everything we asked for. And then it turns out, oh, well, the NFL is saying no.
Right. Yeah.
Because you are still technically under contract.
Right. Which, so does that mean we see more 1-year contracts? Do we, I don't know. We'll have to see, right?
Yeah, I think that genie is out of the bottle with the 1-year contract. It's going to be hard to take it away now. It is unfortunate because the fans really are the ones that have a hard time getting that attached to some of these players.
Right.
I mean, we obviously love players like Larry Dean, Javon Santos-Knox, Don Unamba, guys that all signed 1-year deals. And if they're not back next year, that's tough because a lot of guys went out and bought those jerseys. They're going to be wearing them around town, and all of a sudden now they're not with the team anymore. Absolutely.
That's why Ricky Collins is one of our favorite players, because he had a 3-year deal. We know he's going to be around. So
we do. Yeah. And you know what? He had such a great 2019 season. I can't wait to see him out there on the field in next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I hope we see some more balance, but I think if the NFL doesn't start to honor that window, I think we'll see even more of those 1-year deals.
Sure.
Do the best you can and then hope to be able to take that shot down south. So
yep, absolutely.
All right, now we'll go back to the coaches. In a somewhat surprising move, I would say, Toronto brings in Ryan Didwinny, also known as Dreamy Eyes, in to be the head coach and remove Corey Chamberlain in basically the same announcement. I thought that was a little interesting.
That is going to be really tough, I think, for Toronto Argonaut fans. Bringing in a guy who was an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, even special teams coordinator, they sort of paid their dues. They've been around in the coaching ranks long enough. They got a lot of relationships.
Right.
And they've obviously grown as coaches. You're talking about a guy that has been just the quarterback's coach and moved right from quarterback's coach, skipped coordinator, and is now the head coach. I don't know if that's too much too soon. A lot of people said that about Jason Moss, and that it's going to be a bumpy ride because he only had the 1 year as a coordinator, but at least he had the 1 year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, you wonder though in that Calgary system, because Dickinson was head coach and offensive coordinator, if as the quarterback's coach he was doing a bit more on the offensive, play,
maybe.
Whatever the prep, I guess, is what I should say. So maybe that side of it, and because he would spend a lot of time with Dickinson, he's got a good idea how that head coaching should run.
Well, I mean, for Argo fans, they better hope so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, he's an excited guy, good guy to listen to. That's that helps, right? Start to bring people back in. So,
and he's very photogenic.
So, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, really, we all want those eyes, don't we?
Do we?
God, this is going to make for a fun season. I can tell already. Yeah. La Police decides to go to Ottawa. Bit of a surprise move on the surface for me. I thought for sure that he was going to end up here, but he decides to go and kind of help to revitalize Ottawa. What do you think of that one?
Well, if they'd been talking with Milanovich for a while, and it seemed like, yes, this was the way it's going to be, then it really makes sense, because Lapo was probably one of the strongest candidates left.
Mm-hmm.
And there were only two positions, really, because we didn't know what was going on with Toronto at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to be honest, I think there might be a little... I mean, Toronto didn't have a strong season, but they seem to have their quarterbacks in place, whereas I think it's a little more up in the air in Ottawa, so he's got more opportunity to bring who he wants at quarterback. There's going to be, I think, a lot of opportunities. Nick Arbuckle is a guy, I think, that is ready to take that next step. Whether or not he can handle or not, we will see. There's two quarterbacks now in Hamilton. I don't know if they're going to be able to satisfy them both.
Yeah, you got to think one stays and one go, I would think. But
yeah. And then you've got Winnipeg.
Yeah, who has 3 quarterbacks that are all not under contract that could go anywhere. And I know Strevler sounds like he had some workouts planned for the NFL, which I'm not sure how far those would go, but I mean, there's always...
As a running back, or...
Possibly.
Yeah.
You don't know, does Nichols then decide, okay, well, I really liked playing with Lapo and heads out east? We'll see.
He might.
Yeah.
You know? Or the other thing is, too, the way the trade was structured when Toronto ended up trading Caleros to Winnipeg.
Right.
If he re-signs, they get an extra pick. Or the pick gets higher. I don't remember which.
Right.
It was conditional anyway on him re-signing.
Right.
So if they're willing to say, no, we'll go with Nichols and Strevler and work on that double quarterback system with those two,
right,
then they don't have to worry about losing that draft pick. So, and then maybe he goes to Ottawa. Who knows?
Right. Or does he end up in Toronto? Right.
Possible.
And then Arbuckle possibly goes to Ottawa. Like there's a lot of different... shuffle there.
A lot of moving pieces.
When it comes down to quarterbacks, though, there is really only one move that is extremely important, and that is for Brock to go back and bring Franklin back here as the backup. Right?
Bring him home,
That's
Brock.
right. Come on. Bring back the turtle. Yes, that's what we want. Last one, and I think this is an outstanding move, although interesting without a GM and or said owner in place, but Kahari Jones signs for 3 years in Montreal. I think he's an amazing coach. I think he's started something really good in Montreal, and I think he's set a very, very good tone and atmosphere. I'm just wondering, how do they work around that when they have guys that just aren't picking up the phone to take the GM role, and who are they going to put in that role? And then after that, who are the actually owners going to be, with even rumors of the Wettenhalls trying to get back involved this past week, which is a little out there.
Yeah, they'd be a minority owner in that situation, I believe, but still, for the team that sold them in May to all of a sudden be back in the picture going, no, we thought about it and we kind of liked owning the team. Let's own the team again. Yeah, even if it's just part of the team.
There's like a 30-day guarantee, right? Or I
think they're past that.
6-month guarantee. Past that too. Let's say a 1-year guarantee, right? Where we can just buy back in. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, the Gleibermans went back into Ottawa after leaving them.
We know how well that worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, sure did in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We will see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Have you heard any other names that might actually go for GM in Montreal?
I mean, they've bandied around a lot of them, but I don't know. It's really going to depend on the ownership, really. Would you want to be sort of a general manager going in there, and then they get an owner in who's going to be meddling in the whole situation? The Wettenhalls were famous for, at least the rumors were, that they were very involved in what players they wanted to see signed and how they wanted them used and everything else. And if that is indeed true, that's tough to be a GM in that situation. So why would I want to go into signing a contract to be the general manager of a team and then find out it's going to be, whether it's them or another group that is more interested, and then the other group might be like, well, this isn't our GM. We wanted somebody else.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a tough situation.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I do think Kahari is the right move, and I hope that he gets to stay there and finish what he started, because I think the guys are just ready to run through everything for him, and it'd be nice to have that successful team in Montreal again.
I think the Montreal fans definitely deserve to see some good successes coming their way.
Absolutely. One other piece of news that came up that I just wanted us to talk about was the stadium deal in Halifax. Voted 10-7 for the positive to give a one-time funding amount. I believe it was of $20 million, if I remember correctly, to try and help build the stadium. But they need a new site. But I think this is a positive step into looking towards the Schooners.
Yeah, absolutely. For those that remember when there were renovations to BC Place in Vancouver, they ended up building something that everyone affectionately called Tempire Field, just for a few years at the PNE. And you know what? I went to a couple of games there, and I absolutely fell in love with that place. I never got a chance to go to the original Empire Stadium, which closed after the 1982 season. But man, it was a lot of fun. It was not that expensive.
Okay.
And I think that's the kind of model that a lot of teams could inexpensively build, and it would sat over 20,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean,
perfect.
it ticks all those boxes. So I think with an infusion of capital like that 20 million, you could get a little bit more money, put in some, I don't know if they had a lot of boxes,
right,
which is where a lot of the money comes from, but at least you could get something going and seeing for not much money what the interest is for the local population.
Right, and try and bring some fans in, because once they have that experience and it's at a reasonable price, then they get behind it. Then there's a lot more reason to kind of build onto or make it bigger and all those types of things.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Or even at a new location, right? If you do 5, 6, even 10 years at this location, I think, okay, now let's build a big permanent place,
right, that
has all of these suites, executive suites and everything else where the real money seems to be. Then you've got proof of concept at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm excited for it, and it seems like for not really having a whole lot of news in a while, that seems like a pretty positive step.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see a 10-team league.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too. Yeah, right across the whole country. That's right.
You betcha.
Now, we don't know. There was a lot of rumors during Grey Cup of whether or not there would be a CFL week again. I'm hoping that announcement might actually come in the next little while, and hopefully this week a schedule. I would assume that the schedule will come out the day after we post this podcast, so then we'll have lots to talk about in January.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, they did talk about it coming up before Christmas. We're 10 days away, boys, so let's get us something. But I think it just makes a lot easier for those fans that haven't got season tickets yet. Gets a chance to, help the season ticket drives going around at team to team. And for those of us that want to plan maybe trips to see some games in other stadiums and everything else,
yes,
a lot of people have to start in January, so we need that schedule so we know what we're looking at for people's family vacations, whatever those are.
What's a
or
vacation?
Again, going to see these teams. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. We want to have that and start getting things planned. And if you can plan it, then you're more likely to pick up season tickets.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so very exciting things to come, Superfan. I'm excited about what we're going to have to talk about in January, and see kind of where things fall as far as people signing and becoming part of this team. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Yep, I can't wait.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, man. And I do want to say thanks again to Natey Adjei for joining us, and make sure that you're following him on Twitter at TEY11_. So that's Tey11_. As always, I remind you to follow Pay It Forward with Football as they get set for next year's excitement. And of course, make sure you check out all the great shows on the Alberta Podcast Network at albertapodcastnetwork.com. That's right.
There it is.
Perfect. And of course, you can find all of our social channels on eskempire.ca. Reminder once again, West of Us is booked for January the 25th at First Round downtown on 104th Avenue. So make sure you come down around 5 o'clock and join us for some football chats and just getting our whole football family together.
Absolutely. I can't wait. It's the off season. I think everyone's kind of got through December. By the end of January, everyone just wants to get together and talk football again. So what better place and what better time?
Absolutely. And with fantastic wings. It's very...
Yes.
Who does not want to
And we're hoping
Oh.
We need to talk to them about getting a special on the menu.
That's right. What was that special again?
Garlic Parmesan waffle fries.
Oh, all those words together is like a thing of beauty.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a thing of magic.
Absolutely. Well, we will be back in January to talk all of these fun things and set up west of us. This week, I just want to say from our family to yours, we wish you a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. We look forward to seeing you all in 2020. So for Natey, Commissioner Kayla, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next year/decade, because that's a decent dad joke.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.